Welcome to The System Works, the lifestyle channel that shows you a practical way to live, the what's in it for you. The System Works. Own it. Welcome to another episode of The System Works. I'm your host, Ernest Phillips, and today we end the cycle of the first date cycle. The one that you go on and then you have another first date, maybe you get a second date. That whole cycle, we're going to end that today. And we're going to end it by using target audience dating. Okay, so what is target audience dating? One of my favorite examples of this comes from the TV show The Big Bang Theory. So Sheldon wants to date and he wants to go on a dating app. And his friends are the ones who decide they are going to write out his dating app profile. And it has things such as, has to be very intelligent, into Star Trek, has to know the atomic number of whatever element. Oh, and by the way, has to know how many colors are on each national flag. So as they're describing this, they're making fun of Sheldon. But what they're doing is they're talking about his accomplishments and the things that he loves the most. And how does Sheldon respond? She sounds perfect. And Rashesh, his friend, says, we can't do that. There's no one out there. And one of the responses is, oh no, if anybody likes this, they already are not doing anything on Saturday night. So this is going to be a perfect fit. So this is the method of target audience dating. Okay, we've all done the plenty of fish method. We throw a huge net out. We see what we can get. We go through, we try to pick the best of the ones that are out there. And we've all tried that method. Guess what? That's why you're on a first date. That's why you're on another first date. That's why you're not making a connection. That's why you're not doing any of the things that you want, because you are using the wrong bait. I'm here to tell you, use the bait that is going to make people run. That's right. I'm giving you a tip on how to do a dating the exact opposite. Exclude as many people as you possibly can first. And you exclude them by letting people know what your true personal brand is. So the tug tip, when your personal brand is clear, you don't have to advertise. Your target audience is already looking for you. So if you go onto a website and you want to do your classic things of how to try to get a date and how to get people to like you, and then you exclude, after that, you're pretty normal. So let me give you a couple examples of what I've worked with. Years ago, I had a client that came to me and she said she's tired of being on dates where the guy is only looking for sex. I know, it's rare. That never happens. I mean, she's the only woman that has ever been on a dating website. I know, I can't even get through that without laughing. Listen, this happens all the time. And so she says she wants a dating app profile. And so the coaching would, I do some personal values. She goes through the values fingerprint. We learn what she values. And then we start to build her personal brand. And then we ask, what are the things that she really wants? What is the things that she doesn't want? Top needs. And then we get into what are, as we call the no-brainers, but also the ones that absolutely under no circumstances will she allow. So as we're going through this, a very interesting thing came up. She said she doesn't really want a long-term serious relationship. Okay. But she was presenting herself in that way. And then she was upset that the guys that she was going on these dates with were only, or at least primarily, looking for something sexual up front. The more we got down to it, she was looking for casual relationships. So while she said she wants one thing, all of her behavior, all of her wording, all of her profile said she wants something casual. And that's why she was getting it. So we redid her profile for what she really needs. And one of the most hilariously amazing things happened that it even surprised me to the degree. She came back and she gave a report on a first date. And he was the things that she was looking for. He was financially savvy. That was one of her top things. He was professional. That was one of her top things. He was within the height category that she gave, and I helped her expand that because it turned out that wasn't really one of her big issues. And he had shared values. And I'm thinking, what a success. And I said, so is there a second date? And she said, no, I don't really like him. And I asked why, and she gave fuzzy answers, and here's what it got down to it. After she realized this is a guy she really is attracted to, she started throwing hints out that she wanted something sexual. And he didn't bite on that. He did exactly what he was supposed to be doing based upon her profile. And she went totally against that. And now she's mad and frustrated that he's not being all the things she said she didn't want. So that is one example of what this can look like. Here's another example. Much more of a success because after that experience, she did not want to continue coaching, which I thought was a great idea because she wasn't ready to acknowledge what she really wanted, and she wasn't willing to do the things necessary to do it. Because frankly, honestly, what she needed to do for where she was at, she needed to just put up a basic profile of saying, I'm looking for something casual, looking for something fun, but I want you to have money and a good job. And she would have gotten all the plenty of fish that she could have ever asked for. Okay, so here's another example. Here's another story. This is a professional woman who had lived her life. She had a lot of different experiences. And one of the things that she was able to acknowledge was she was a very highly sexual individual. And that was one of her number one things that she needed in a relationship. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. I don't say anything good or bad about anybody's number one. As long as it's legal and you're not hurting anybody, pick your number one and just know why it's your number one. So, but she also was at a place where she wanted intimacy. She wanted a real relationship. And she did not know how to word that in her profile. So we worked on it. And one of the things that we got to was in her profile, she said, I am a highly sexual individual. I also require intimacy, which means I will not do anything sexual besides kiss for 6 months. I dare you to beat my 6-month timeline. And that's all she did. That was the whole profile. So what happened? Her inbox got flooded, and I mean flooded. And everything that was in there was basically the same thing. It was all men who were goals was to beat that 6-month marker. And so what we had coached prior to this was any guy, any response that starts sexual or includes sexual, don't even respond. Don't even entertain it. So after going through this whole list of responses, every single one of them was sexual, which led her to be pretty frustrated. And I said, great job. And then we added one new thing. I'm not looking for marriage, but I want a long-term partner. And a weird thing happened. She stopped getting responses. They were trickling in, but she had weeded out all the guys who would look at that, think sex, see a challenge, go after it. And once they weren't getting any response, they quit. It didn't take them long. So for about 2 months, she did not get a single response. So at this point, she is feeling rejected. She is feeling unattractive. She's feeling this process is not working. And what I coached her to do is this. If you're willing to have them wait for 6 months, then you need to be willing to wait for 3 months. And so she agreed. And within about the last week of that 3 months, a guy responded. He wasn't the most attractive. He wasn't the top tier financial, top tier job. He wasn't even one of the people that she would have normally ever given anything to. But he came with respect. And he asked questions about her. And they had some good back and forth conversation. And not one time did he bring up anything sexual. They ended up going on a few dates. Not one time did he bring up anything sexual. He even said something that blew her mind. He said, I really just want to kind of get a chance to know you for a while because I'm not interested in intimacy until I know there's a good reason. Now, at that point is when things shifted. At that point, she feels like she's in a trap. She feels, well, he's got to be uninterested in me if he's not trying. And she started to do all the opposite things that she had in place. And because we were still doing the coaching and it was awesome, I got to remind her, this is what a guy who is genuinely interested in you looks like. He's not going to act like the others. And then I told her something that really blew her mind. I told her most guys, maybe not most, but a lot of them, if we know sex is not on the table, it gives us a chance to look at you for who you are. It lets us know you have a standard. It lets us know that you're not in it just to get what you want and that I don't have to try to do all that other stuff. And it allows us the freedom to look at you and go, okay, do I really like you as a person? Do I really like your values? And it gives us a chance. So here is your action step. It doesn't matter what you want, what you need, what your priorities are. It really doesn't. I will tell you, when you figure them out and you find out why you have them and what's really in it for you to have them, and it's not hurting anyone else, go for it and present that up front. One of my favorite things to tell is during a dating spell that I had back in my 30s, I would open with this. Your feelings will never come first. I want to work on learning who you are so I can love you for who you are. You have no idea how fast you can end a date with that phrase. Because I know my brand is, my goal is to love. And I was looking for someone who I knew could receive the love that I'm giving, that could look at themselves as a higher asset than their feelings. Feelings are great to feel. They're not good for making decisions all the time, and they certainly aren't good to make thoughts with. And who you are is way bigger than what you feel or your feelings. And I even told a friend of mine that, and she said, do not tell that to my husband. I like what we got going on. And we had a big old laugh and we gave a hug, and I never told that to her husband. So if he's out there, you don't know it was you. And your wife told me not to tell you, but you don't know who you are, but I do. So be your brand. Be on brand. There is someone out there for everyone. And if you've been on Facebook, there's a Facebook group for seemingly everybody. There's a YouTube channel for just about everything. Be that, own that. And then the people who are attracted to that will be naturally attracted to that. You will have a natural connection to them, because at the end of the day, you're going to come back to who you really are. You can only fake it for so long. And now you get to have a genuine connection. So what's in it for you? What's the Wi-Fi? Stop wasting time. You get off that first, second date carousel. Now, you're not going to have the ego boost of having a lot of responses, but that's not what you want. You want the bait so ideal for you that all the other fish swim by, don't even notice you. You want the bait so good that you actually turn people off when they're not the ones you're really looking for. That's the bait you want. And you will get that by being your personal brand, living out your values, and owning it with fun and confidence. My personal brand: love, truth, respect, humor. And humor slides up pretty often because it's one of my values. So be your brand, stay on point, and we'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The System Works. Have fun with the action steps, enjoy the Wi-Fis, click like, click subscribe, and comment. The good and the bad, we like them all. We look forward to seeing you next time. The System Works. Own it.